Hello, I'm Rusty Ray with North Metro TV News, and as part of our continuing coverage of Local Decision 2018, we're taking time to talk with candidates in local races across the North Metro, and at all possible in a debate-style format, in a question and answer session, and that's what we have for you here today in the race for Spring Lake Park Mayor. We're happy to be joined now by Mayor Cindy Hansen and Council Member Barbara Goodboe-Bisschoff, both of them running for Spring Lake Park Mayor. Thank you for being here today.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
And we're going to have a format that's pretty simple. Each are going to have an opening statement of a minute, and then there will be a series of questions, and each will get to answer in an order predetermined before we started this taping. And then there will be a closing statement at the end of the session. And again, we appreciate you being here, and we will start with opening statements with you, Barbara.
Thank you. My name is Barbara Goodboe-Bisschoff, and I'm running for mayor because you deserve someone who is honest and totally interested in the way the city is managed. I will be the person that will be able to come in and talk to or call. We have a city that needs work, and in this age of new cultures coming into Spring Lake Park, we need to be accepting and welcoming. That is why one of my ideas will be to form a citizens advisory committee made up of residents from all areas within our city. Our 4 senior centers, Northtown apartments, single-family homes, businesses, and our trailer court to help us understand any problems and look for solutions.
Okay, Barbara, thank you very much. And now for an opening statement, Cindy Hansen.
Hi, as a lifelong resident of Spring Lake Park, I've been married to my husband Doug for over 30 years. Our daughter Emily graduated with honors from our public school system. I graduated with honors from Spring Lake Park High School and obtained a BA degree from Concordia. My employer for 18 years has been Independent School District 621. I've been the mayor for Spring Lake Park for 8 years. I hope you are as excited as I am about the over $50 million of redevelopment activity that I have brought to Spring Lake Park. And that's the largest in our city's history. I've created jobs, affordable housing, and a more diverse tax base. I'm the only candidate in this room who has the endorsement for re-election by all of Spring Lake Park's surrounding communities, Mayor Tom Ryan of Blaine, Mayor Scott Lund of Fridley, and Mayor Carol Mueller of Moundsview.
Okay, Cindy, thank you very much. We will proceed now with the first question for both candidates, and it's a simple question, but maybe not so simple. And both of you now have held public office for a number of years, but we want to know what is leading you to seek public office, in this case again, what is leading you to seek this office, whether for the first time or for a re-election? And we will start for the first answer from Cindy.
Okay, I just don't want this fantastic progress that we've had in Spring Lake Park's growth to come to a screeching halt. I love the city. Again, I'm a lifelong resident. I've never had, or nor do I now, have a hidden agenda. I've seen us go through tough times, and now I absolutely love the new life that has come to Spring Lake Park. I have too many projects started. Hy-Vee, the sewer lining project, the local flooding and stormwater project that we now finally have funding for. Things in government take time, and when we want something changed, it doesn't happen overnight. There are studies that need to be done, and in order to do these studies, you need money. So a funding source must first be created and time allowed to build up that fund. I want to work through these and make sure that they are completed. I just want us to continue to thrive.
Okay, thank you very much, Cindy. Now, Barbara, again, the question to you, why do you seek this office at this time?
As I stated when I was elected 2 years ago to the City Council, I am tired of residents not being properly informed. Too much is decided behind closed doors. I did not realize how much until I had a seat at the council. For instance, changing legends of Spring Lake Park from senior 55 plus to affordable 50 plus with children without notifying residents. Also trying to change the name of John Conde Park after 20 years without notifying residents. Buying the Money Pit Laddie Lake Inn without notifying residents was another very bad choice. Pardon me a second. We have told residents that we do not have the money to spend around town. Okay.
Okay, you'll leave it there? Okay.
I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, sure.
We'll move on now to the next question, and you kind of both have already touched on this already in the early going here, but I want to ask you maybe to narrow it down a little bit. What would you say is the single biggest issue facing the community in Spring Lake Park? The single biggest issue, and for the first answer, Barbara, it is your turn.
Biggest issue? Stormwater. 4 years ago, I came up to the council with my neighbor and friend, Bill Peterson, and I asked them about doing something. 2 years ago, I came back there after our big flood in September, and the present mayor said, we'll look right into it. In April of 2017, when I was on the council, I finally said, you've got to do something. I don't care about the price, how much it's going to cost, but we need an in-depth study. And they finally did this. It has come back, and we now know how to take care of some of these problems. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Cindy, same question. The single biggest issue that you see right now facing Spring Lake Park?
It is a local flooding issue, but I recall it a lot differently than Barbara does. And this issue is going to hurt and be painful to some. It's going to require acquiring easements. It's not as easy as ask for it one day and it happens the next day. Like I stated in my the previous question, it takes time to create funding, to create a plan and let these funds accumulate so that you have money to move forward, order the study, and pay for the study, which we have done now. It was not because of Barbara stating what she just stated. But an example of how I've already been working on this issue is the $5 million public storage redevelopment. This included a stormwater pond at the city's request, and the city was more restrictive than the watershed district. We insisted on doing a pre-development rate flows, and my leadership had made sure that that pond was large enough to stop the flooding in that area.
Okay, Cindy, thank you very much. We're going to move on now to the next question, and certainly historically and geographically, Spring Lake Park is one of these communities that sees primarily now the redevelopment of its areas. One of the biggest projects, of course, Hy-Vee coming in. Is that going to be enough, that alone, or at least as a start, is that going to be enough, that kind of development, to diversify the tax base and broaden it and grow it in ways that will meet what the city needs? That's the question. Is the Hy-Vee enough to diversify the tax base? This question first goes to Cindy.
The Hy-Vee project is going to be fantastic. The Legends of Spring Lake Park also help diversify the tax burden. The tax rate in Spring Lake Park has declined 13% from when I took office, and I'm very, very proud of that. I've held the line on property taxes. I bent cost control. The levy is slightly higher, but we have more taxpayers to spread that out to. I also have increased our bond rating to a AA, which means we are able to receive a better rate, and we are financially strong. I'm really excited about redeveloping that 85th corner and the surrounding area, and I see great potential for that, especially now that Hy-Vee's coming in. It's going to stir up new life in our community. I'm also working on 525 Osborne Road with interstate development on a medical site. This would complement Unity Hospital, make that area stronger, and again, help with the tax burden.
Okay. Now, Barbara, the question to you, is this going to be enough to diversify the tax base?
Hy-Vee is going to be great because it's going to have give jobs back to our community, Spring Lake Park students, adults that don't have to go outside of Spring Lake Park for a job. This will be great, and we'll have 3 to 3.5 times the tax base on here. 2 years ago, I lobbied against a development going in there called Rubicon. Spring Lake Park wanted to put up 3 buildings and 150 units. And this was going to be affordable housing marketed for single-parent families. I lobbied my heart out at the Planning Commission and again at Council, and it was an election year, so they did vote it down. Thank God for that.
Barbara, thank you very much. Now a bit of a wild card question. We've kind of had some fun with this with our other forums and things like that, and it's a kind of a chance to branch out. Maybe it's not even something you've thought too much about walking into this, but in 13 Minnesota communities, including some very close to Spring Lake Park, Roseville, Shoreview, City of Minneapolis earlier this year, City of Edina was the first to enact an ordinance or change the ordinance to make it the minimum age to buy tobacco products 21 instead of 18, where it is most other places. The question for you is, if this came before Spring Lake Park Council, would you, or how would you act, or how would you vote on a change to raise the tobacco buying age to 21? And the first answer comes to you, Barbara.
I think that I would have an open meeting and have people come in and express their views. I think that would be the best way to do it. I do not smoke. I have never smoked, but I have had friends and family that have and have had problems with it. So I think it's the best way to have residents from our community come in and talk to us about it at an open meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Cindy, the question goes to you. How would you vote on this discussion?
I, again, would go to the residents and seek their answer. But I really would like to correct Barbara for not telling the whole story about Hy-Vee, because you had nothing to do with Hy-Vee coming to Spring Lake Park. You were not on council at that time. My goal was to close the underperforming municipal liquor store and remove the liability from the residents of Spring Lake Park, which I did, and I was able to obtain and keep the Hy-Vee development for Spring Lake Park. True, a developer approached council and was told that the only way we would consider that proposal was if a commercial component was a part of the development. Businesses have the right to petition government, but we were never, ever, ever in favor of it. Council had no desire to remove the commercial component in developing the property. The developer didn't want to do this, so the vote from the council was no.
Okay, Cindy, thank you very much. Let's move to the next question here, and think about it this way. If you are describing to somebody you were talking to in the course of campaigning, or be it a close friend or even a family member, how would you describe the role of mayor? Certainly for these several years, Cindy been mayor, Barbara, and thinking about it and having worked in council already, how would you describe the job of being mayor of Spring Lake Park? And that first answer comes from Cindy.
It's being the middle person between the residents and administration. And I think the thing that I have been able to offer the residents of Spring Lake Park is my stability and my diplomacy. I have terrific working relationships with not only the rest of our council members, who are all supporting me at this time, also Anoka County Commissioner Robin West is supporting me, and I've had great working relationships with Connie Bernardi, and these relationships are invaluable to the city of Spring Lake Park. I don't know how to describe how important they are. It's not backroom deals, it's not the old boys clubs, it's working together, and that's what I'm able to offer.
Okay. Barbara, how would you define to someone in a conversation, how would you define to that person the job of mayor of Spring Lake Park?
I want to get out there and meet the people and talk to the people and find solutions for these people. I was at Osborne Apartments about 3 weeks ago, and I met residents there, and a very nice gentleman named Hal. He told me about problems with the crosswalk over to the hospital. The next day I called up Anoka County, and they were gracious enough to put lights on that crosswalk. And also there's been some repair work also. Hal called me today and he said, hey, They filled in a hole out there. Thank you so much. And that's great. That's what I want to do. I want to help people.
Thank you very much. Next question now is looking into the future as part of running for a public office of any kind. That's got to be a part of it, I would imagine. We want to ask you to look 10 to 15 years into the future of Spring Lake Park. And what do you hope for the city and its residents and even maybe its leadership? And this question goes first to Barbara. 10 to 15 years.
10 to 15 years. Spring Lake Park's a bedroom community. We have very little commercial real estate. I want to keep it that, I want to keep that commercial real estate because that's 3 to 3.5 times the tax base. So we do need that. I want to give this good feeling of a small town community to our kids because they need that for a good sound base. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cindy, 10 to 15 years down the road, what do you see for your city?
I think we have to continue to think outside the box. We have to continue to grow, to redevelop. Another area that I'm working with is Prince of Peace Church. They would like to sell their ball field area, and we're working on a single-family housing development at this time. And I think what people must realize and they forget is that our comprehensive plan has to remain fluid. Just because a parcel that we wanted to be commercial maybe can't be commercial at this time. An example of that is the Legends of Spring Lake Park. People were upset because a commercial property did not go in there. Well, MnDOT changed the access on Highway 10. We had to be fluid with that. I want us to dream and think of our grandchildren's city, not our grandparents' village.
Okay, Cindy, thank you very much. Final question before we then get to a closing statement. And the final question is this: what do you hope to accomplish if elected mayor, Barbara, or Cindy, re-elected mayor? What is the single most thing, I guess, you would like to accomplish if elected to this seat? And the first answer will come this time from Cindy.
We have to take care of our local flooding issues, and we finally have the funding for that. That would be my top priority. I also would like to remind people that Goonie Golf paid $16,000 a year in taxes to the county, to the city, to the school, and that property owner had a right to sell. And prior to Dominium, the only inquiries on this property were for used car lots. That isn't what we want here in Spring Lake Park. This one project will lower the city's tax rate by 3.8% once it's on the tax rolls, just for this one project. I'm really, really excited about what we have to look forward to here in Spring Lake Park.
Okay, Cindy, thank you very much. Barbara, this question now: what would you hope to accomplish if elected mayor?
No more tax increment financed developments such as Legends of Spring Lake Park. Cindy said that we're going to get money for the tax roll on it. That's not until 2040 or beyond. That's not right. All that money is going back to the developer. It is not going into the property tax to lower the property tax of Spring Lake Park residents. That is wrong. It should have been left as commercial space. At an open meeting, they said it would be a 55-plus senior housing. They changed it under the table, the 50-plus affordable housing. To me, that's wrong. That's shoddy behavior.
Okay, Barbara, thank you very much. And now that's the end of our questions. We will now give each of these ladies a chance to give a closing statement, and for that they will each have 1 minute. And for the first closing statement, we go to you, Barbara.
Well, I wish to thank you, Rusty, and North Metro for having us here for this debate tonight. My name is Barbara Goodboe-Bisschoff, and I hope that you vote for me because you deserve honest, responsible leadership. Thank you.
Okay, and for a 1-minute closing statement, Cindy Hansen.
We do have honest, responsible people in our administration and as your public officials. I do need to clarify this, that Goonie Gulf paid $16,000 a year in taxes. We will still receive that every year up until 2040. And then we will start receiving $300,000 a year in city, county, and school taxes. This would not have happened without being able to use TIF as a tool. And I don't know where Barbara expects all these seniors to move to. They'd have to move out of the beloved Spring Lake Park that they wanted to stay in. You're telling me to wrap it up? I guess I do truly believe that my stability and diplomacy clearly make me the best choice for your mayor of Spring Lake Park. Thank you very much for having us.
Okay, Cindy, thank you very much. Thank you both. That's the time we have for this forum. We appreciate Mayor Cindy Hansen and City Council Member Barbara Goodboe-Bisschoff for being here. If you would like to learn more about them or about this race or any of our races here in the North Metro, you can find all of that information under the Local Decision tab at northmetrotv.com. We'll also air these debates on a rotating basis on both North Metro TV, the main channel, and the city-dedicated channel, Spring Lake Park, and the other city-specific races and the forums that we've had on those city channels through November 6th. And on election night, November 6th, you can join us live here on North Metro TV News as we recap the results and perhaps get some analysis as well as those results come in. Thank you for joining us here on North Metro TV. I'm Rusty Ray.